Welcome to another game review. This time it's something for the Super Nintendo system. And what a classic we have for you today. It's Super International Cricket. And if I sound a bit excited, it's because I am. This game is just a fantastic classic. Came out in 1994, even included in a pack over here in Australia. And it was sensational. Now, a couple of things we're going to need to do. We're going to have to turn off a couple of things. So, we want that easy, and we want the music off. So, the music, which is by Marshall Parker, nothing wrong with it. This title tune is great. And the Caribbean-style music in-game, hey, look, it's fantastic as well. But it does loop after about 3.5 minutes, I think, from memory. So, you're going to want to turn that off because your games are lasting a lot longer than that. In fact, they might even last 5 days, right? So, a couple of things you want to do right up front. So, let's do that. And as we set up the game, I'll chat to you a bit about some, I guess, fantastic memories I have with this game, but also a bit more about the game as well. We're just going to do a one-day match today. It's just like the BBL. So 1 or 2 players, and it can be simultaneous, which is fantastic. You don't have real cricket players. These were made up. They were too cheap to do the licenses, but it's still a great game, and it doesn't really matter. I suppose you could hack the file out if you really wanted to in an ASCII text editor and go for it. We're just going to play a 10-over match, and we're really more interested in batting than bowling, to be honest, so hopefully we get to bat first, and if not, by magic, it will happen anyway. So as I mentioned, this game came out in 1994 by Beam Software, formerly Melbourne House. Melbourne House did some great stuff on other systems, not just the Super Nintendo. Wave Exploding Fist, for example, on the Commodore 64 springs to mind. Fighting Warrior, not so much. Fist 2, meh, sometimes I love it, sometimes I hate it. Certainly hated it when I got beaten by the last enemy right at the end of the game and it jammed. Yep. That cassette tape came out and learned how to fly when that happened. Alright, so we've got 10 overs. Now, we're going to pick Australia, of course, because I'm an Australian and because they're the best team. No, they're not actually the best team in this game. England, I think, are the best team, if you're wondering. But Australia and West Indies and New Zealand also very good. Other teams not as good. So there's your whole lineup there. You've got India, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, West Indies, South Africa, NZ, England, and of course Australia. And I'll be picking Australia. Now, who are we going to pick? So I'm going to go South Africa. A couple of reasons. 1, because they're easy beats in this game. 2, because, hey, it's late 2022 as I'm recording this, and 2022-23 Australian cricket season involves South Africa. So West Indies have already been dealt with, so South Africa's turn next, all going well. We shall have to wait and see. Now, let's pick them, and then we go to the toss. Now, we can also change some of the players if we want. So, for example, I can go, well, I don't want Reynolds to come in. I want to replace Reynolds with Ireland, for example. And let's do that. You've got little stats here by the players. Obviously, the more bails you see next to the player, the better they are. So, as you'd expect, these guys, lots of bails for batting. And then as we get down to the keeper and the bowlers, well, their bowling stats obviously go up. But, yeah, they can't do a great deal more. I'm putting Ireland in because a bit of an all-rounder, as you can see, but you don't really have to do that. Just nice to have that ability. You can also change the next player in during the game as well. It is worth paying attention to the stats about fielding and running as well, because if you've got poor stats for fielding, you're likely to drop catches. Although there's a really strange quirk in this game where they just keep recatching the drop catch. I don't understand what Beam Software were thinking when they did this. But nevertheless, and running, if they take forever to get to the ball, you might be able to run 5 runs, maybe even 6. I think the most I've run was 9, and that was with overthrows. And yeah, that was a good day out with the run feast. So we're done. Now we move on to the toss. So let's go heads, and hopefully it lands on heads and it lands on tails. Of course it does. So I've gone back and I have won the toss, and we are batting first, as in Australia, batting first, and hopefully we can get some runs. I think the fact that this came out in 1994 and I'm still playing it in 2022 gives you an indication of the game's longevity. It is fantastic. I remember having it in the day, and I remember buying it again in the day on another SNES, just so I could play this game again. And obviously I've enjoyed it on emulation, and I still have an original copy tucked away. Okay, so what we can see now is G. Meyer is the bowler for South Africa. Bowling stats are pretty average. Now, we notice that at the beginning the field is up, so that's just what happens, and I'm going to unpause the game so we can carry on, and away we go. So they're about to bowl to me, the field is up. I'm going to go over the infield as best I can because they've put that field up. They only put it up for the first over, then they push them out after that. So I like to reward them for that tactic by hitting over their heads where possible. So as you can see, we're off to a flyer in this 10 over match. Australia on fire, and hopefully we can keep that up as this happens. Now, just talking a bit about the controls, and I'm running between the wickets there, even though I probably don't need to, but I really like the logic in the controls. So A is going to hit to your right, and that's gone over the head. Another 4. Marvellous effort that. So we can see that Australia are off to a pretty good start here, and I was talking about those controls, so they're really intuitive. And 6 runs, thank you very much indeed. So A button hits to the right, Y hits to the left. Gives you a lot of control over your shots. Now, for a straight hit like that drive, that's the B button. Again, very intuitive, and X is to block, like you're ever going to do that. But nevertheless, it is there as a function. Sometimes a tail ender might want to block to try to just survive, I suppose, just like real life. So we've covered the basics of the controls for you. A is going to hit to your right, Y to your left, B is going to be straight, X is going to block. So let's do a straight hit here, and we'll take a cheeky single. You just pull down on the pad and then back up if I wanted a second run, but obviously 1 is enough. Bit of a misfield, hence the boo from the crowd. Now I'm going to hit Y because I want to do a cut shot, and it's a no ball. We've cut that away, and are there 2 runs there? No, just 1. Just 1. But some other controls of interest. So the L button is going to loft it high. Now, I mean, that wasn't the best ball to try to loft because it wasn't a short ball, it was quite full. So be very selective when you try to use it. This one should go a little bit better. No fielder out there, 6. So it's really handy being able to loft the ball. It comes with risk. You might get caught, but it's worth a try. And the runs are flowing here for Australia today at the one stadium that comes with this game. There are no others. Bit of a shame they didn't put different stadiums in, but nevertheless, it doesn't detract from what is a fantastic game. Cut shot here. It's going to be the order of the day, I think. And a tight single there by the look of things. So as we go through, and I'll continue to whack these balls around hopefully, other button of interest is the R button, so your outside button on the right. That is for extra power. So it really gives you control, as in you can decide what direction to hit the ball on. You can decide if you want to hit the ball high. You can decide if you want to hit the ball just with power, or you can combine both of those together for a high, hard hit, and who knows, that might go a long way back. It comes with more risk as well. But it gives you a lot of flexibility over the batsman, and the ball seems to be able to go anywhere. I never feel like it's sort of premeditated or scripted that it's going to go here, and so many combinations. So I'm going to try a hook or a pull here, and there we go. Beautifully placed. So I used both the L and R buttons. So I wanted to hit it high, I wanted to hit it hard, and I also wanted to hit it to the right. I'm going to do the same thing again. Not as good. I didn't get that one as well. Oh, wow, I thought he'd catch that. But South Africa a bit off their game today, and I am going to take full advantage of that. Now I'm going to hit straight, but also LBW appeal. No way, that was too short. It's going well over the top of off. So I'm going to try and use LR and to the right. So there we go. Oh no, there's a fielder out there. Gonskis. Gonskis, I say. Anyway, so my batter there, B. Aitken, has gone 36 though, and I tell you what, his strike rate was pretty decent. What else to tell you about this game? So, Steve French was the designer, Marshall Parker composed the music, as I mentioned. Beam Software, formerly Melbourne House, were the developers, and Nintendo published this game in '94. And it's got the all of the teams you would expect to see in there. I guess you don't have sort of Bangladesh or some of the newer sort of teams on the scene. I find it's really only playable on the easier difficulty level. So, and I do find that the music in game is really not great. So, something to be mindful of. So there was a prequel to this game, and that was on the old Nintendo system, the NES, the 8-bit one, and that was International Cricket, that was called, I believe. I never played it, to be honest, but I understand it's got a lot more music, and sometimes this gets criticised for only having the 2 tunes compared to the many tunes that were available in the NES Classic. But anyway, I never felt compelled to play it. I obviously don't mind some of the NES emulation, Prince of Persia, some of the others are quite good, but this is still the best cricket game that I've played to date, and I've played a stack of them. Not many in recent times, I admit, but this is the one I keep coming back to. Alright, so this bowler doesn't have very good bowling stats, so I should go after this bowler, I think. Now you're thinking, well, what were you doing before? I've been tonking them all over the place. That is true, but I'm going to go even harder after this guy. Let's see how we go. Well, that's high, but no one out there. Fielder out there. Tell you what, I'm in trouble. I was cruising there, but suddenly I've lost 2 wickets very quickly, so better be careful. Having said that, there's only 10 overs, so I'm not too nervous about it. You don't have to use those outside buttons, so I'm just doing a straight shot there just to become a bit more conservative. You notice this guy's so slow between the wickets. I mean, the best thing I can do is probably get rid of him or make him tonk things so he doesn't have to run. But seriously, like, how unfit is that? Is that player? He's like a keg with legs. But anyway, thankfully he's at the non-striker's end. Now let's go for another shot. Is that a bit risky? Yes, it is. And now suddenly I'm falling apart. I'm going to have to be a bit more conservative. Got off to a great start. And there's the walking duck. Some great little touches in that. There were a couple of sequels to this game as well, unofficial sequels, I suppose, but Beam Software coded them. There was Cricket 96 and 97 on the PC. I didn't particularly like either of them. I remember I did play Cricket 96 on it was MS-DOS, and it lacked, I thought it lacked a variation of this, even though it was using, I would say, pretty much the same code base. Graphics were a little bit better from memory, but it just lacked the variety of the shots and everything else. Now, I'm going to show you the bowling shortly. We'll just have a couple more whacks, so let's go for the cut shot. So I used the R button for power, and I used the Y button, of course, to cut that away. And it just feels so intuitive because you want to hit to the right, hit the A, you want to hit to the left, hit the Y, and that's where those buttons are located. You want to hit straight, you hit to the middle button, the B. Just perfect. Really, really well designed. They knew what they were doing here, but they probably didn't know they were going to come up with a classic. Now I go down the pitch. If they're going to be cheeky and bowl something that full, I go down the pitch, and they typically pay the piper. So it's very satisfying, and he hasn't learnt by it, so let's give him another lesson. Now that one's not going to go all the way to the boundary. Can I make 3? I mean, this guy's so slow. Look at him. Look at him. What's he doing? Oh, I made my dive too early. You might have noticed both my batsmen dived. You can use, if you want the non-striker to dive, hit the B. If you want the striker to dive, hit the X again. Very intuitive. I actually made my guy going back to the striking end, the wicketkeeper danger end. I made him dive too early, so he should have been safe. The danger end was really the other end, but I stuffed that up. So by the time he got up, he was run out. So now we're suddenly 4 for 64. And things are sad. But on the upside, full ball, so we're going to give that the treatment. And he hasn't really got hold of it, though. Nevertheless, we're going to get a couple of runs for that. Yeah, we'll move on to the bowling shortly. I'll just show you a little bit more on the batting. I like to do some shots like this as well, stand over there and be a bit silly. You typically get out if you're too silly, though. And I've done exactly that. Now bear in mind, I know my batsmen are dropping like flies at this point, but I am taking risks. I'm using the L and the R buttons either one at a time or together to try and take some ridiculous shots. So I'm going to do exactly the same thing here because I refuse to learn from my mistakes. And out. Probably not a surprise. There's quite a nice little animation if we get a hat trick. Let's see if we can make that happen. Oh, LB? No. I guess I was too far forward. You're not going to get to see that animation, but we're halfway through 5 overs, and that gives you a pretty good indication of where things are at for the batters. Might just see if we can do one more 6, and that will leave me feeling a bit more satisfied, but he's not going to get a 6 with that kind of rubbish, that's for sure. Yeah, look, just a great game, and you have such control over the players. See, I swung that too early because they will bowl you slower balls. They do vary the pace of the delivery, just like you'd expect in a game of cricket. And I love that about it. I love the variation in it. I tend to really like playing leg side shots. So I'm using that A button a lot to flick stuff to the leg side. I don't know why. I just feel like I have more success maybe doing that. But it does sort of come with a risk, especially using those L and R buttons. So I didn't get hold of that one at all, as you can see, but it's bounced safely for me, thankfully. He's thrown down the stumps as well. He's got a good arm. He probably has very good fielding stats. Anyway, I think as we lose another wicket, 6 for 72. So yeah, things are not looking great. I might just keep going a little bit longer for you before I show you the bowling, because we're not going to spend much time on the bowling. And by the look of things, we're not going to spend much more time out here with the bat either. Oh, he's coming back for 2. Direct hit, but he's okay, not out. So, fantastic controls, a lot of fun. And obviously, when I use power buttons like I do for the tail enders, it's not going to go very well, and that is to be expected. So Scott is out, Trin is in. We can stop the game at any point. I can declare. Obviously, I'm not going to do that when I've only got 74 runs. We can look at the scoreboard, which we're going to do. So scoreboard tells us we've got our 2 tail enders in at the moment. We really had a good run there at the top order, and then it all sort of went to pot very quickly after that. So other stuff in there, we can view the field to see how the field has been set, so we can be strategic. It does pay to use this against New Zealand and West Indies. They tend to set close fielders, particularly to the offside, and if you're not aware of that, your straight hits and particularly sort of your more cut shots using the Y button to hit to that side of the ground, you can get caught. So I do like to check this now and again against some of those teams. But again, you can use this for placement, or what should my shot selection be, and you can see some pretty big gaps there, in particular on the offside. And yeah, I guess it's just another way of giving you a bit of strategy to pull into the game as well. Now, we might just finish off the innings with a bit of Richie Benno commentary. So bless Richie, and he's sadly missed, along with Greggy, and well, I guess so many commentators and players that have left us way too soon. But what else can we look at there? So look at the bowling scorecard as well. So see who's getting the treatment. G. Myers sort of copped it, 34 off the 2 overs there. Anyway, we're going to Richie Benno mode from here for the rest of this batting innings, which probably won't be very long, I wouldn't think. And just make sure it's Simmons. Okay, so here we go. So it's Simmons on strike. What's he going to do? And looks like a no ball. He swung at that, and he's caught, but it's a no ball. So he's very lucky there. I'm going to say that he's done very well. These tailenders just being a bit of a pest for South Africa at the moment. And they thought about 2, but they changed their mind. Yes, marvellous day here at the SNES Stadium. And these 2 tailenders just trying to get some extra runs because it's only a 10 over game, very short. So they'll be doing what they can to get some extra runs. And that's a glorious off drive. Magnificent shot, marvellous, yes. Certainly hit that one well. Now the bowler comes in and he's really made a meal of that one, but I think he'll get away with it. and just the single. So here we are, Australia versus South Africa, 7 overs down. It's 8 for 81. Simmons 6 not out, Trin 1 not out, and Van Dam 17. I think he should go back to the movies because he's not doing very well here today as a bowler. Now they're off again, and he's had a bit of a swing at that one, but he's caught. Yes, he's got him. Marvellous. Got him indeed. Yes, he's gone. Never had a chance. Never had a chance. Gee, I think I sort of went into Bill Laurie there for a second there. Sorry about that, Bill. Anyway, so we'll just finish off the innings because we're pretty well there. I'm just taking ridiculous shots now because the match is nearly over. They're going to only have to get about 8 and over, so they'll probably have a good chance of getting that. But especially with that catch, that's where we wrap it up. So I guess it was worth running through the entire innings for you. Yeah, good work, Trin. Make sure you get some wickets, pal. Okay, so not the best, but I guess they've got to get the runs because we've got them on the board. So there we are, all out for 81. Aiken, my top player, 36. Now, to the bowling. So Scott already picks the best bowlers for you, but I can change that if I want to, any bowler I like. So I just need to change the bowler. I can also change the approach. So it's a nice little touch. So changing approach holder. So you can come around the wicket if that's what you want to do, or over the wicket. So just a nice little touch. I can change the field if I want, and I can go aggressive, I can go safe, or I can do custom. Now this one's quite good because a little hand appears, and look at that. And the players, I love how they just struggle there and go, really? What are you doing to me? As though they're in shock. So what we'll do is we'll move some of these fielders. I feel that it's a bit too aggressive, so let's move him there. And I do like that it tells you the positions as well. If you watch a bit of cricket, I'm sure you already know where deep square leg is versus mid-wicket, versus mid-on, versus mid-off, short cover, etc. But again, it's a nice touch if you want to learn a bit about cricket and become quite strategic with what you are doing there. So we'll exit that. Now we've made a couple of field changes. So this is quite simple. I've got a series of controls here. I can vary my deliveries. I can control the pitch. Do I want short stuff? Do I want full deliveries? Do I want stuff on the stumps? What am I aiming for? And again, just really intuitive control. So I typically just use the B button. You have to hit B before you get to the popping crease. If you don't, then you're going to have a no ball. Oh, that was close. Now I can use the X button to return the ball to the keeper, or the B button to return it to the bowler's end. Again, just intuitive. One's up, one's down on the control pad. How easy. I might see if I can get a sneaky LB here. I didn't get the LB, but he also didn't get any runs, so I'm happy with that. Now, I'm going to keep things on the stumps. I'm working with you miss, I hit. Now, I can use the Y button to appeal. As you can see, I appealed a lot. I had 5 appeals there and I got nothing. I got nothing for it. Nothing, umpire. Fair dinkum. Tough crowd here. So the fielders will basically run over and try and get the stuff automatically, but I can change their line, their trajectory, that type of thing as I go if I wish. So let's give this guy a bit of chin music. That might fix his little red wagon. But players don't retire hurt, so they can fall over if they get hit in the head, but they won't get, they won't have to retire hurt. That's never happened in the game. So let's bowl a spinner. So that wasn't my best delivery there. And again, I can try to run players out anytime. So again, hitting those X and B buttons, so very handy.
No ball.
Another no ball, so I'm not hitting the button on the popping crease quickly enough. So look, as you can see, that gives you a pretty good look at this game. I haven't got a wicket yet, but I'm pretty confident that I'll win the day, that I got enough runs. I tend to, especially on easy level, get them quite cheaply, but I admit I'm more interested in the batting than the bowling. So we'll just keep going a little bit longer, see if I can get a wicket, and that's another no ball. Tell you what, they might win unless I get my act together. That was just really gave them 4 runs. So let's bowl this one out here. Yeah, just again, very intuitive controls. So as a spinner, If I want to spin it, pitch it somewhere and then spin it to the right, hit the A button. If I want to pitch it somewhere, spin it to the left, hit the Y button. Again, just really intuitive controls. Very, very easy. Oh, that was cheeky. He's going to get 4 for that as well. Oh, look, we might have to stop this game before South Africa get the better of me. We can't have that. I mean, they're none for 14. They're flying at the moment. I need a wicket. I can't buy a wicket here at the moment. Come on, that must be out. I don't even know what I'm appealing for, but come on, umpire, give us a go. And anyway, they survived that appeal. I'm shocked. I'm shocked they survived it because I thought it was stumps hit with bat or something like that. Hit wicket, surely. Anyway, I think we'll leave it there. None for 14. Clearly, I'm going to get them all out very shortly, but you don't need to see that. So this was Super International Cricket. It is still a lot of fun. Put it up on a big TV. The graphics are still fine. They're functional. I'm sure they're a little bit pixely now, but it's still a great game. The mechanics are brilliant. The game itself is a lot of fun. Set yourself up to pick your favourite team, challenge the others, and what more over summer do you want to watch cricket on one screen, play Super International Cricket on another screen, with your SNES controller in one hand and a nice frosty beer or coffee or whatever your beverage of choice is in the other hand. And that's a great way to spend an Aussie summer. Still a classic. That's Super International Cricket. This has been David HearneWriter, and I hope you've enjoyed this review.